Okay, let's just jump right into this. Picture this exact terrifying moment. One impossible cosmic mistake, and suddenly, boom, Earth's orbit is violently ripped away from the Sun. We're dragged deep into the outer solar system, locked right into the orbit of Jupiter. We aren't just changing some coordinates on a space map here. We are literally rewriting the fate of every ocean, every cloud, and every single second of human history.
So, what actually happens the very second the sky changes? Well, Jupiter instantly dominates the heavens. I mean, it would be overwhelmingly massive, way larger and brighter than anything humanity has ever seen with the naked eye. It's not just a distant, twinkling dot anymore. It is a massive, striped gas giant hanging right over our heads, filling the entire sky with this staggering mix of wonder and, quite frankly, absolute doom.
There's a quote from our source material that perfectly captures the sheer terror of that moment. It says, "The biggest giant in the solar system now rules the sky like an enormous monster planet that never stops watching us." Just imagine the immediate global panic. News broadcasts instantly shifting into emergency mode. Scientists frantically crunching the numbers on our new orbital parameters. Everyone on Earth looking up and realizing at the exact same moment that a terrifying new reality has dawned, and there is absolutely no reversing it.
Section 1. A new cosmic order, changing our address in space.
Now, once that initial shock kind of wears off, the harsh physical consequences of our new address take hold. We often just think of being farther away from the sun as needing to pack a heavier winter coat, right? But the contrast is stark. On old Earth, we had those warm, bright, life-sustaining days. But near Jupiter, the sun is just a small, dim little speck. Daylight feels impossibly weak, and twilight arrives early in a global sense. The sunlight we actually need to keep our oceans liquid and our ecosystems alive, it's just gone, immediately kicking off a total climate collapse.
Section 2. The Great Global Freeze. Earth's rapid freezing. With the sun's heat so drastically reduced, the speed of this collapse is just staggering. Within mere days, the poles freeze completely. In a matter of weeks, that deadly cold spreads right down to the mid-latitudes. Over the next few months, the surface of our oceans turns to solid ice, completely destroying shipping routes and marine ecosystems. And the really crucial takeaway here is that this cold actually reinforces itself. As ocean circulation dies off, the planet's ability to regulate its climate completely breaks down, trapping Earth as a permanent ice ball in just a few short years.
Section 3. Gravity and deadly radiation. The invisible killers.
Because, believe it or not, the freezing is actually only part of the nightmare. Jupiter isn't just a cold, dark parking spot. It's an incredibly hostile environment filled with invisible killers. It's got this massive gravitational pull and intense magnetic fields. But perhaps the most terrifying part is its deadly radiation belt. Unprotected life on the surface would be absolutely devastated. Plus, our delicate space infrastructure, the very things we'd rely on to coordinate any kind of survival effort, they'd be the very first casualties. Satellites would instantly fail. Global communication and navigation systems crashed right when we need them the most. And underneath our feet, the extreme tidal forces of Jupiter's gravity would literally begin tearing at the Earth's crust.
This creates an absolutely shocking paradox: fire in the ground and ice in the air. So, while the surface of the Earth is rapidly freezing into this giant ice ball, Jupiter's massive gravitational tug is simultaneously creating immense internal friction and extreme geological stress. We're talking massive volcanic eruptions blasting ash into a freezing black sky and unprecedented earthquakes ripping apart the frozen ground. Nature is literally being torn in opposite directions at once. And amidst all this chaos, we have to ask, what on Earth happens to our moon? Well, depending on our exact orbital mechanics around Jupiter, the moon's future is incredibly bleak. It could become dangerously unstable, creating these erratic, monstrous tides that wipe out coastlines before they even have a chance to freeze over. Or, and this is even worse, Jupiter's gravity could just strip the moon away entirely. Without the moon, we lose our long-term rotational stability. We'd start tilting wildly on our axis, making whatever climate is left completely unpredictable.
Section 4. The collapse of civilization. Global society breaks.
Let's bring the focus back down to the human level. Think about how much of your daily life relies on the outdoors. Before this event, agriculture relied on sunlight, open fields, and natural seasons. After the shift, growing seasons simply vanish. Humanity becomes desperately reliant on indoor hydroponics, underground farms, and artificial emergency energy,
Only nations with massive infrastructure and pre-existing emergency power grids could even attempt to prevent immediate global starvation, basically shifting their entire energy output to literally keeping just a handful of crops alive.
Our new global map would be completely unrecognizable. National borders dissolved. They'd be replaced entirely by the boundaries of survival zones. Underground shelters using geothermal or nuclear power might offer high viability, but only for a tiny fraction of the population. Those fleeing to equatorial regions might temporarily delay the freeze, but honestly, it's not a long-term fix. Sealed, complete indoor ecosystems powered by industrial grids are definitely the best bet, but they depend entirely on pre-existing, incredibly rich infrastructure. The defining question is no longer, what country are you from, but rather, can you get inside a habitable zone before you freeze? The psychological toll of all this would be beyond profound. We would become a species of memory. Just imagine the children born in these bunkers, growing up hearing myths of something called a blue sky or a warm ocean. The bright, outward-looking optimism of human civilization would instantly be replaced by a cautious, defensive, and deeply traumatized bunker mentality. Humanity would survive, perhaps, but as a fearful shadow of what we once were.
Section 5. Surviving the Giant's Shadow. The long-term future.
Now, if we somehow manage to endure that initial, monstrous collapse, what does the long-term future of humanity actually look like? Well, survival would force us into a strange, bizarre new era of expansion. With the Earth's surface largely uninhabitable, we might actually see upward expansion into orbital habitats or deep subterranean networks of engineered shelters connected across continents. But most fascinating of all, Jupiter's moons, Europa, Ganymede, Io, Callisto, they wouldn't be distant points of scientific curiosity anymore. They'd become strategic realities. They'd become our lifeboats, our new frontiers for mining resources, or maybe even eventual migration.
However, we really cannot romanticize this. The cost of this transition is monstrous. Billions of lives would be lost to the freezing cold, the starvation, and the ensuing chaos and wars over those few remaining safe zones. The world order as we know it would be completely obliterated. We are looking at the literal death of the old Earth. It's a civilization-ending event that would brutally test the absolute limits of human resilience, resulting in the agonizingly painful birth of an entirely new kind of humanity.
And so, as those future survivors look up through reinforced glass at that massive, striped giant filling their sky, they're going to be left to ponder this one final, haunting thought. Did this giant world destroy us, or did it give us a second chance by forcing us to become something tougher than we ever were before? It is a terrifying scenario, but also a brilliant testament to the stubborn, unyielding nature of life to adapt and survive. So what do you think? Would humanity actually rise to the occasion?